The dying alien was left to suffer on the cold, hard floor, while a crowd of onlookers did nothing, until the humans arrived. Benjamin Adams shoved his way through the dense throng of aliens gathered in the main concourse of Nexus Prime Trading Station. Interstellar freighters docked and departed constantly, their massive hulls catching the light of distant stars. Benjamin, a burly human xenobiologist with a thick beard and sharp blue eyes, pushed a large hovercart loaded with research supplies. The crowd of onlookers quickly backed away, looks of disgust and fear on their faces. The denobulan resembled the deadly Kustra predators of Orion, and everyone gave it a wide berth. Station security approached, weapons drawn, their powered armor suits whirring. The hulking Centaurian security chief bellowed for everyone to stay clear of the dangerous beast. But Benjamin's scientific mind raced as he realized this was no mindless animal, but a sentient being desperately needing help. Despite Dr. Chen's protests about the risks, Benjamin pushed determinedly through the nervous crowd. He knelt beside the suffering alien. It fixed 4 pain-filled eyes on him and rasped out a dire warning. "Please help. Sire Father must warn invasion." The denobulan then lost consciousness. Benjamin stood and faced down the armed security team, shouting that this was a sapient creature requiring immediate medical attention. The chief snarled for him to stand aside or be arrested. Dr. Chen stepped up to support Benjamin, explaining they were xenobiologists from Earth University who could treat the alien and potentially gain critical intel. After a tense standoff, the security chief grudgingly lowered his gun. "Fine, but if that thing so much as twitches wrong, we're spacing it. And you with it," he growled. Benjamin grimly nodded. He carefully lifted the alien onto his hovercart. As he and Dr. Chen raced for the medical bay, sirens began blaring. The station AI announced an unknown fleet had jumped into the system, jamming all comms. Benjamin exchanged an alarmed look with Dr. Chen. It seemed they were already too late for whatever calamity the dying denobulan had tried to warn them about. Now the stakes couldn't be higher. They had to save this alien and unravel its dire message, or an entire space station could be doomed. Benjamin burst through the doors of the medical bay, the unconscious denobulan cradled in his arms. Dr. Chen shoved the hovercart aside as another blast rocked the station, sending medical equipment clattering to the floor. Dr. Voss, the Saurian chief medical officer, whipped his head around, tongue flicking out in alarm at the sight of the wounded alien. His scales shimmered an agitated red. "What in the 7 hells is that?" Dr. Voss hissed, backing away. "No time to explain," Benjamin said, laying the denobulan on the nearest biobed. "This is a sentient being who needs our help. It tried to warn us about an invasion before collapsing." Dr. Voss eyed the denobulan warily as Benjamin hooked up vital sign monitors. The screens flickered to life, displaying erratic waveforms and alien glyphs. "These readings make no sense," Dr. Voss said, tongue flicking out to taste the air. "You expect me to treat this creature?" "We're xenobiologists," Dr. Chen said, calibrating a medical scanner. "This is what we trained for. Your expertise plus our knowledge is this alien's only chance." Dr. Voss hesitated for a long moment, then moved to the biobed with a sigh. "I'll do what I can," he said, "but if this goes badly, it's on you two." As the 3 doctors worked frantically to stabilize the denobulan, Benjamin noticed strange bioluminescent patterns pulsing beneath its gray-green carapace. The patterns seemed to intensify whenever the alien's vitals spiked. Intrigued, Benjamin grabbed a sterile syringe and extracted a sample of the glowing fluid leaking from a crack in the denobulan's exoskeleton. Dr. Chen slotted the syringe into a portable gene sequencer, his brow furrowing as complex data scrolled across the device's screen. "The DNA, it has base pairs I've never seen before. The genetic structure is like nothing on record." Benjamin peered at the sequencer. Could those novel base pairs be responsible for the bioluminescence? "More than that," Dr. Chen said, zooming in on a segment of the alien genome. "These sequences seem to code for highly efficient cellular regeneration. Theoretically, this creature could heal from almost any wound." Another shockwave slammed the station, showering sparks from shattered light panels. Benjamin braced himself against the biobed as the medbay plunged into darkness, emergency lighting bathing the room an ominous red. Suddenly a vice-like grip seized Benjamin's forearm. He looked down to see the denobulan's 4 eyes snap open, glowing with desperate intensity. "Sire-Father warned hive ships," the alien gasped, its voice a raspy clicking. Benjamin leaned in close. "Hive ships? Who are they? Why have they come?" The denobulan convulsed, bioluminescent patterns flaring erratically. "Must reach defense." The alien's eyes rolled back in its head as it slipped into unconsciousness once more. "It's crashing," Dr. Chen yelled. "Get the defibrillator." Dr. Voss grabbed the paddles, but before he could place them on Sire-Father's chest, an explosion tore through the station far too close to the medical bay. The force of the blast threw them all to the floor. Flames licked at the walls of the medbay as the sprinkler systems engaged. Benjamin hauled himself up on the biobed, looking out the viewport. A swarm of black angular ships buzzed around the station, insectile and alien. They were like nothing he had ever seen. Nexus Prime's shields flickered as the strange craft hammered at them with green lances of energy. A chilling screech of rending metal echoed through the superstructure. The station's AI blared to life. "Alert! Outer hull breach, Sector 12. Unknown hostiles have boarded the station. Security to Sector 12. Dr. Voss shook his scaled head, eyes wide. "That's it, we have to go, now. Get to the escape pods before those things reach us." He turned towards the door, but Benjamin grabbed his arm. "We can't abandon Sire-Father. It risked everything to get here to warn us." The Saurian doctor bared his fangs. "Then it's going to die for nothing. No one's ever seen these ships before. You want to wait around and greet them?" Benjamin looked down at the unconscious denobulan, the strange patterns beneath its skin glowing faintly. He remembered the desperate intensity in the alien's eyes, the conviction as it tried to choke out a dire warning. "Mad or not, it's this creature's only chance. All our chances," Benjamin said grimly. He placed the injector against Sire-Father's neck and pulled the trigger. The stimulants hissed into the denobulan's flesh. For a long moment nothing happened. Then the bioluminescent patterns flared to blinding life, bathing the room in pulsing blue light. Sire-Father sat bolt upright with a rattling roar, eyes wide and fists clenched. It swung its head towards Benjamin. "I am Sire-Father, eldest spawn guide of the denobulan. We flee the ravenous hive." The alien's words were stronger now, its voice resonant. "I must reach the defense grid control room or all will be lost." Benjamin nodded solemnly. "We'll help you, Sire-Father, but first tell us—" A sizzling blast cut him off as the medbay doors exploded inward. Black armored figures surged into the room, insectoid helmets gleaming. Pulse rifles swung towards the doctors and Sire-Father. "Surrender the spawn guide and you may live," one of the intruders buzzed. Voice filtered through a metallic vocoder. Benjamin stepped in front of Sire-Father, raising his hands. "We're unarmed, we only want to help." "Then perish with the cattle you protect," the leader snarled, leveling its rifle. Benjamin reacted on pure instinct. He snatched a surgical laser scalpel from the instrument tray and hurled it at the leader's face. The precise beam sizzled through its compound eye, sending the insectoid soldier shrieking to the floor. In the moment of confusion, Benjamin spun and fired the laser at the door controls. The surgical beam fried the circuits, slamming a security barricade across the ruined entrance. Armored fists pounded on the sealed portal, dents already forming in the obstructing metal. Benjamin whirled to face Sire-Father, Chen, and Voss. Alarms shrieked, and the deck shuddered as the battle for Nexus Prime raged just outside the damaged medical bay. "It won't hold them for long. Sire-Father, we're with you," Benjamin declared, "but we need to know what we're up against. Tell us everything." The elder alien nodded gravely, glowing patterns swirling across its carapace. It began to speak as a terrible pounding battered at the sealed door, the buzzing roar of the invaders just beyond. The pounding fists grew louder, the metal door already creaking, as Sire-Father spoke in a rapid, clicking tongue. The hive's only drive is to absorb all life into their writhing swarm. They care not for science, culture, beauty, only brutal conformity. My people's unique biology shields us from their sting, for now. So they hunt us, to pluck our defenses apart and claim our essence for their own. As Sire-Father's words trailed off, his glowing markings shifted and swirled, bathing the ruined medbay in pulsating light. Benjamin watched in fascination as the patterns coalesced into holographic star charts hovering in the air. Radiant lines connected system to system, highlighting a creeping advance of angry red dots, planets already fallen to the hive. At the current borders shone defiant blue sparks, the beleaguered denobulan worlds. Benjamin reached out, fingers dancing through the luminous projection. This isn't just bioluminescence. It's a highly advanced form of data storage and transmission down to your cellular level. You're a living computer system. "Step away from the creature," the chief bellowed, leveling his plasma rifle. His sharp eyes flicked from Benjamin to Dr. Chen to Sire-Father. "You're all under arrest for aiding an invader." Benjamin's mind raced. They had seconds before this standoff turned deadly. His gaze fell on a sedative injector lying amid the debris. In one swift motion, he snatched it up and held it like a weapon. The security chief sneered, his finger tightening on the trigger. "The only mistake here is yours, human. I won't let you endanger this station with your bleeding heart xenobiology." Dr. Chen reacted instantly, seizing a supply cart and heaving it over into the guard's path. Vials and instruments clattered to the floor as the cart formed a makeshift barricade. "Ben," Chen called out, "the hypo spray, set it to maximum." Benjamin fumbled with the injector's settings. He looked to Sire-Father, desperate for any advantage. The denobulan met his gaze, eyes narrowed in understanding. Just as the security team advanced around the overturned cart, Sire-Father unleashed an unearthly shriek. The sound was like metal tearing, an auditory assault that sent the guards reeling back in pain. They clutched at their heads, weapons wavering. In that moment of confusion, Benjamin noticed a horrifying detail. One guard's eyes glowed an unnatural green, pulsing in time to an alien heartbeat. As if on cue, the afflicted guard swung his rifle towards his own comrades and opened fire. Plasma bolts sizzled through the air. The security chief spun, caught off guard, and took a shot to the shoulder that spun him to the floor. Chaos erupted. Benjamin launched himself at the infected guard, tackling him into the bulkhead. They grappled for the gun, Benjamin feeling inhuman strength surging in his opponent's limbs. It was like wrestling a feral machine. From the corner of his eye, he saw Dr. Chen rush to aid the fallen security chief, dragging him to cover behind a bank of shattered monitors. Sire-Father continued his disorienting sonic onslaught, the remaining guards dropping to their knees in agony. Benjamin finally managed to press the hyperspray against the infected guard's neck. He pulled the trigger, and the potent sedative cocktail flooded the hive drone's bloodstream. The guard went rigid, eyes flickering, then slumped unconscious to the deck. In the sudden silence that followed, punctuated only by groans of pain and the hiss of ruptured conduits, Benjamin climbed shakily to his feet. Dr. Chen was already tending to the wounded security chief, wrapping a quick compress around the plasma burn. Sire-Father's bioluminescent patterns shifted again, forming a new hologram, this time an internal schematic of Nexus Prime. Angry red veins snaked through the station's levels, pulsing and growing. "The hive infection spreads," Sire-Father clicked grimly. "Soon they will control all." The uninjured guards, witnessing the truth with their own eyes, lowered their rifles. They looked to their wounded leader, who gritted his teeth against the pain. "The alien's right," the security chief growled. "I fought his kind before. We can't let them take the station." He met Benjamin's gaze, eyes hard. "You say you can stop this? Then do it. We'll help you reach the defense control room." Benjamin nodded solemnly. He turned to his unlikely allies, Chen, Sire-Father, and now the security team. "Let's move before the hive regroups." They stepped warily into the ruined corridor, sidearms and sedative hypos at the ready. Sci-Father's holographic map shimmered in the air, guiding their path. Above, skittering silhouettes crawled along the ceiling, hive drones chittering to each other in a buzzing alien tongue. Benjamin motioned the others into a side passage, heading for the maintenance tunnels. As they pushed deeper into the station's underbelly, they began to encounter pockets of desperate survivors, technicians, medics, even civilian families. Benjamin used his xenobiology expertise to quickly scan each new addition for signs of hive corruption, ensuring their growing resistance remained pure. All the while, Sci-Father's skin pulsed with patterns and codes, a living beacon in the darkness. His mere presence seemed to fill the ragtag band with dedication, a sense that they fought for more than just their own survival. Benjamin watched as the resistance fighters grabbed stun batons, plasma pistols, even industrial lasers. Chen hefted an electrified riot shield, heart-made. Benjamin looked down at his own weapon, the unassuming sedative hypospray. It seemed a poor match for the monsters ahead. But as Sci-Father's light played across the injector's surface, Benjamin saw it in a new way. This was his scalpel, his instrument of healing, now turned to the task of saving an entire station. He was a doctor, a scientist, a guardian of life, and he would fight for that ideal even in the heart of swirling madness. The security chief caught his eye, a grudging respect dawning on the veteran's face. "Time to take back our station, Doc. Let's hit them hard and fast." Benjamin chambered a fresh vial into the hypospray with a satisfying click. Around him, the resistance fighters tensed, ready to meet the hive head-on. Sci-Father's bioluminescence flared bright, patterns of defiance and unity. Together they charged into the fray, the battle for Nexus Prime reaching its fever pitch. Benjamin felt a strange calm settle over him as he ran, sedative raised like a beacon of hope. They would prevail. They had to. For in the end, it was the duty of all sapient life to face the darkness, and in facing it to light the way forward. Benjamin led the charge, his hypospray at the ready. As they rounded the corner, a swarm of hive drones came into view, their insectoid forms blocking access to the control room. "Now," Benjamin shouted. The security chief and armed civilians opened fire, plasma bolts sizzling through the air. Benjamin darted forward, using the chaos to his advantage. He targeted the gaps in the drones' exoskeletons, jabbing his hypospray into exposed flesh. The sedatives took effect almost instantly, dropping drones to the floor. Dr. Chen's fingers flew across a nearby control panel. "Environmental systems accessed," she called out, "releasing irritant gas now." A hissing sound filled the corridor as vents opened, releasing a cloudy vapor. The hive drones began to twitch and spasm, their movements becoming erratic. Sci-Father's bioluminescent patterns flared to life, pulsing in rapid, disorienting flashes. The compound eyes of the remaining drones seemed to lose focus, leaving them vulnerable. "Push through!" the security chief bellowed, leading the charge. They fought their way to the control room door, leaving a trail of unconscious or disoriented drones in their wake. Benjamin slammed his palm on the access panel, and the door slid open with a hiss. The scene inside froze them in their tracks. The station's head engineer was partially fused with the main console, his body a horrific blend of flesh and circuitry. Benjamin shook his head firmly. "No, we're going to save you." Sci-Father's bioluminescence shifted, projecting a holographic display of the engineer's body. Benjamin and Dr. Chen studied it intently. "There," Chen pointed, "the assimilation process, and it's nanotech-based." Benjamin nodded. "And it's rewriting his DNA, but Sci-Father's genetic structure might be the key." He turned to the denobulin. "We need a tissue sample." Sci-Father extended a limb without hesitation. Benjamin quickly extracted a small sample, then he and Chen set to work. They combined Sci-Father's unique genetic material with the medical supplies they'd brought, racing against time to synthesize a counteragent. Just as Benjamin pressed the hypospray to the engineer's neck, a violent shudder ran through the station. "Hive ships!" the security chief shouted, gesturing at the external monitors. "They're cutting through the hull!" The chief lunged for the weapons controls, but nothing happened. "Systems are locked out." The engineer gasped, his eyes clearing as the counteragent took effect. "Override code," he managed. "Delta 7 Epsilon 9. The security chief punched in the code. Weapon systems came online with a satisfying hum. Turrets swiveled, opening fire on the attached hive ships. Several exploded in silent bursts of flame, but more kept coming. A crackle of static burst from the communications array. "Denobulan fleet, en route to your position. ETA 1 standard hour." As they prepared for the coming onslaught, Benjamin noticed an odd pulsing in Sci-Father's bioluminescence. The Denobulan's eyes met his. "There is another way," Sci-Father clicked softly. "A dormant ability. It could turn the tide, but the risk to myself is great." Benjamin opened his mouth to respond, but before he could, alarms blared. The hive was coming. The alarms blared as Benjamin watched Sci-Father's body begin to vibrate. The Denobulan skin erupted in waves of intense, pulsating bioluminescence that bathed the control room in eerie, shifting light. Sci-Father's voice came out strained, each word an effort. "Activating the resonance, a Denobulan ability, psychic blast, disrupt the hive mind." Dr. Chen's eyes widened. "That sounds powerful, but—" Benjamin's mind raced. "We need to protect him. Chen, help me build a makeshift Faraday cage. We can use spare parts from the control panels." As they worked, ripping out components and hastily constructing a protective barrier around Sci-Father, the security chief barked orders to the armed civilians. "You three cover that entrance. You two take up positions by the secondary access. Everyone else, perimeter. Shoot anything that isn't human or Denobulan." Benjamin's hands flew over the gravity controls, fingers dancing across the interface. "Chen, I need you to reroute power from non-essential systems. We're going to play with gravity." Dr. Chen nodded, her own fingers a blur on an adjacent console. "On it. What's the plan?" Before Benjamin could answer, the main doors exploded inward. A wave of chittering insectoid hive drones poured through the opening. Plasma bolts sizzled through the air as the security team opened fire, but they were quickly overwhelmed by sheer numbers. The world turned upside down. Hive drones, caught unprepared, slammed into the ceiling with sickening crunches. But Benjamin wasn't done. He twisted a dial, and gravity shifted again, sending everyone tumbling towards a wall. Then down, then up. The room became a chaotic maelstrom of ever-changing gravitational fields. Benjamin and his allies, forewarned, managed to brace themselves. The hive drones weren't so lucky. They flailed helplessly, unable to coordinate in the face of such rapid shifts. At the center of it all, Sci-Father's bioluminescence reached blinding levels. Benjamin shielded his eyes, feeling a strange pressure building in his skull. Suddenly, a massive wave of psychic energy exploded outward from the Denobulan. It rippled through the station like a shockwave, visible only in the way it made the air shimmer and distort. Every hive drone in its path collapsed instantly, their connection to the collective consciousness severed. As quickly as it began, it was over. The gravity normalized. Hive corpses lay scattered across every surface, but their victory was short-lived. Sci-Father slumped to the ground, unconscious and terrifyingly still. Worse, every console in the control room began to spark and smoke. Lights flickered and died across the station. Benjamin's blood ran cold as he surveyed the damage. The resonance. It overloaded the power grid. We've won against the hive, but now... He met Dr. Chen's horrified gaze. "We're looking at total station failure in 1 hour. The security chief cursed. "And how long until the Denobulan fleet arrives?" 1 standard hour, Chen whispered. Benjamin stared out the viewport at the cold, unforgiving void of space. They had survived one impossible situation, only to find themselves facing another. With Sci-Father down and systems failing all around them, he realized their battle for survival was nowhere near the end. Benjamin's mind raced as he assessed their dire situation. The station's life support systems were failing rapidly, and time was running out. "Dr. Chen, I need you to get to the hydroponics bay," Benjamin ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. "Secure as many oxygen-producing algae tanks as you can. It might be our only chance at breathable air." Chen nodded, her face set with grim focus. She grabbed a portable oxygen mask and sprinted out of the control room. Benjamin turned to the security chief. "Take a team and manually seal off as many bulkheads as possible. We need to contain what little air we have left." As the others dispersed, Benjamin hunched over the flickering control panels. His fingers flew across the interface, desperately trying to reroute power and stabilize the station's systems. Sweat beaded on his forehead as warning lights flashed across the screens. Suddenly a new alert caught his eye. The station's fusion reactor was becoming unstable. Without the AI to regulate it, a catastrophic meltdown was imminent. "Damn it," Benjamin muttered. He knew what he had to do. Rushing to the medical bay, Benjamin grabbed emergency foil blankets and lead-lined curtains. With quick, precise movements, he fashioned a makeshift radiation suit. It wasn't pretty, but it would have to do. The partially recovered engineer, still weak from the hive infection, propped himself up against a console. "I'll talk you through the restart procedure," he said, his voice hoarse, "but you'll have to act fast." Benjamin nodded, clutching Sci-Father's bioluminescent tissue sample. As he stepped into the darkened corridor, the eerie glow from the sample cast long shadows on the walls. Navigating the maze-like passages, Benjamin encountered a group of aliens huddled in a cargo hold. Their eyes wide with fear, they chittered and clicked in languages Benjamin couldn't understand. Using exaggerated hand gestures and facial expressions, he conveyed the urgency of the situation and motioned for them to follow. The reactor room doors hissed open, revealing the overheated core. Steam filled the air as warning klaxons blared. Benjamin's improvised alien crew quickly grasped the situation, forming a chain to pass coolant canisters. As Benjamin worked feverishly, following the engineer's instructions crackling through his comms, disaster struck. A power surge caused a coolant pipe to burst, spraying pressurized liquid across the room. In a split-second decision, Benjamin redirected the spewing coolant toward the reactor core. The hiss of rapid cooling filled the air as the reactor's temperature began to stabilize. Long minutes passed as Benjamin fine-tuned the systems. Finally, with a low hum, partial power was restored to the station. Emergency lights flickered to life, and Benjamin let out a shaky breath. Returning to the control room, he found Dr. Chen tending to Sci-Father. The denobulan had regained consciousness but lay motionless on a makeshift cot. "Benjamin," Sci-Father clicked weakly. "The hive ships, they're regrouping for another attack." A quick glance at the weapon systems confirmed Benjamin's fears. They were still offline. Benjamin's eyes darted around the room, his mind racing. Suddenly, an idea sparked. "The trash ejection system," he said. "We can use it to launch makeshift missiles." Dr. Chen raised an eyebrow. "Missiles made of what?" "Garbage," Benjamin replied. "Compressed pods packed with volatile chemicals from the science labs." As they scrambled to put the unorthodox plan into action, a new alert pinged on the long-range sensors. Benjamin's heart raced as he studied the readings. New ships were entering the system. "Are those our reinforcements?" Dr. Chen asked, hope creeping into her voice. Benjamin squinted at the fuzzy sensor data. "I'm not sure," he admitted. "They could be denobulan or more hive vessels." The security chief checked his weapon. "Either way, we need to be ready." Benjamin nodded, turning back to the improvised missile preparations. As he worked, he couldn't shake the feeling that their next move would determine not just their fate, but the fate of the entire station. Benjamin's eyes widened as he studied the sensor readings. The approaching ships were neither denobulan nor hive. "Trandoshan scavengers," he muttered, recognizing the distinctive hull configurations. Alarms blared as the scavenger ships latched onto Nexus Prime's outer hull. The screech of metal on metal echoed through the station as cutting torches began to burn through the exterior plating. "We've got boarders!" the security chief shouted, readying his weapon. Benjamin's mind raced. They were now caught between two threats, the hive ships still lurking outside and the Trandoshan invaders breaching their defenses. He turned to his team, his voice steady despite the chaos. "We need to split up. Chief, take your team and repel the Trandoshan boarders. Dr. Chen and I will focus on the hive threat." As the security team moved out, Sire struggled to his feet. His bioluminescence flickered weakly, but his eyes burned with dedication. "Benjamin," the denobulan clicked, "there is another way. My species possesses a hidden ability. We can temporarily transfer our consciousness into technology." Dr. Chen gasped. "You mean merge with the station?" Sire nodded. "It would give us a fighting chance against both threats." Benjamin considered the implications. "Sire, are you sure? What are the risks?" "The process must be reversed before your fleet arrives," Sire explained. "Otherwise I might be permanently trapped within the station's systems." Benjamin nodded grimly. "Do it." Sire placed his hands on the nearest console. His bioluminescence intensified, spreading from his body into the circuitry. The denobulan's physical form slumped to the ground as his consciousness merged with Nexus Prime. Suddenly the station came alive. Doors throughout the complex sealed and opened strategically, trapping Trandoshan boarding parties in isolated sections. Life support systems optimized, buying them precious time. "Sire, Benjamin called out. The nearest computer terminal flickered to life. "I am here, Benjamin," Sire voice echoed through the speakers. "I have control of the station's systems." "Incredible," Dr. Chen breathed. As they raced through the corridors, they witnessed Sire control firsthand. Trandoshan invaders found themselves trapped behind force fields or expelled through airlocks. Meanwhile, the security chief's voice crackled over the comms, coordinating counterattacks using Sire newfound abilities to ambush the scavengers. In the main hangar, Benjamin and Dr. Chen worked feverishly to retrofit a maintenance shuttle with their improvised missile launchers. Compressed garbage pods packed with volatile chemicals from the science labs were loaded into makeshift firing tubes. As Benjamin ran final checks on their cobbled-together weapon system, a realization struck him. He studied the external sensor readings, brow furrowed. "Dr. Chen," he said slowly, "look at this. The hive ships, they're not attacking." Chen leaned in, her eyes widening. "They're forming a perimeter around the station, but why?" Benjamin's blood ran cold as the pieces fell into place. "They don't want to destroy Nexus Prime. They want to capture it intact." Benjamin nodded grimly. "This changes everything. We can't just focus on defense anymore. We need to find a way to drive the hive away from the station." "But the denobulan fleet will be here soon," Chen protested. "Won't they help?" "That's what I'm afraid of," Benjamin replied. "If they arrive while the hive is still here, it could trigger a massive space battle with Nexus Prime caught in the middle." "I am Benjamin," the denobulan's disembodied voice responded. "What is your plan?" Benjamin's mind raced as he considered their options. They had a station under siege, a sentient AI ally, and a shuttle armed with garbage missiles. Somehow, they needed to use these disparate elements to outmaneuver both the hive and the Trandoshans before the denobulan fleet arrived. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenges ahead. "All right, here's what we're going to do." Benjamin's fingers flew across the control panel as he accessed the station's long-range communication array. Dr. Chen leaned in, her breath fogging the display as she began crafting their desperate ruse. "This is denobulan warship Thelos," Chen spoke into the comm, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "Nexus Prime, we've received your distress call. The full might of the denobulan fleet is inbound. ETA 30 minutes. Hold fast." Benjamin nodded approvingly as Chen repeated the message, adding subtle variations to sell the illusion of multiple ships. He turned his attention to the station's environmental controls, pulling up schematics for the weather regulation system. "Understood," the AI's voice crackled through the speakers. "Rerouting power now." Warning lights flashed across the console as Benjamin pushed the system beyond its intended limits. The air crackled with static electricity, and a low rumble echoed through the station's superstructure. Outside, a swirling maelstrom of electromagnetic energy began to form. Lightning arced between the station's outer pylons, creating a dazzling light show that masked the true nature of their deception. "The hive ships are altering course," Chen reported, her eyes glued to the sensor readouts. "They're falling back." Their brief moment of triumph was shattered as the security chief's panicked voice cut through the comm channel. "Control room, we've got a situation. Trandoshans have breached the vault. They're making off with everything they can carry." Benjamin's blood ran cold as he processed the implications. "The quantum entanglement device," he breathed. "If the hive gets their hands on that—" He turned to Chen, his face a mask of unwavering drive. "Hold the fort here, I'm going after them." Benjamin sprinted through the corridors, Sire-Father's voice guiding him through the labyrinth of service tunnels. A swarm of maintenance bots fell into formation behind him, their metal bodies clanking against the walls as they navigated the tight spaces. The tunnel opened into a vast cargo hold, its artificial gravity disengaged. Benjamin pushed off the wall, floating into the zero-G environment. Crates and debris drifted lazily through the air, creating a deadly obstacle course. At the far end of the hold, a group of Trandoshan scavengers were securing their ill-gotten gains to magnetic harnesses. Their leader, a battle-scarred behemoth, clutched the quantum entanglement device in his clawed hands. "Now!" Benjamin shouted. The maintenance bots surged forward, propelled by tiny maneuvering thrusters. They slammed into the Trandoshans, sending them tumbling through the weightless environment. Benjamin used the chaos to his advantage, launching himself from handhold to handhold. He collided with the Trandoshan leader, grappling for control of the device. "Oh, you fool!" the Trandoshan hissed, his forked tongue flicking inches from Benjamin's face. "Do you have any idea what this is worth?" "More than you know," Benjamin grunted, straining against the alien's superior strength. The Trandoshan's eyes narrowed, a calculating look crossing his reptilian features. "Perhaps we can come to an arrangement," he growled. "My crew, my ship, we could be powerful allies against the hive. All we ask is a share of the profits from your denobulan friends' abilities." Benjamin's mind raced. The offer was tempting. They needed all the help they could get. But the thought of exploiting Sire-Father, of compromising everything they'd fought for— A violent shudder ran through the station, nearly causing Benjamin to lose his grip. Outside, the electromagnetic storm raged, growing in intensity with each passing second. "Sir?" Chen's voice crackled through his comm unit. "The hive ships are in disarray, but our sensors are picking up new contacts. The real denobulan fleet is almost here." Benjamin locked eyes with the Trandoshan leader, knowing his next words could decide the fate of Nexus Prime and everyone aboard. Benjamin's mind raced as he weighed his options. The Trandoshan's offer hung in the air, a lifeline in their desperate situation. He took a deep breath, his decision crystallizing. "All right," Benjamin said, locking eyes with the Trandoshan leader. "We have a deal, but with one condition. We use the quantum entanglement device to create a false biodata signature mimicking Sire-Father's abilities. That's what we'll use to lure the hive away." The Trandoshan's forked tongue flicked out, tasting the air. His reptilian eyes narrowed, considering the proposal. After a tense moment, he nodded. "Agreed. We get our profit without risking the real prize. Clever. Human." Benjamin released his grip on the device, allowing the Trandoshan to secure it. He tapped his comm unit. "Dr. Chen, we need to set up a false biodata broadcast. Use the quantum entanglement device to mimic Sire-Father's signature." "Understood," Chen's voice crackled back. "I'm on it." As they worked to implement the plan, Alarms blared throughout the station. Chen's panicked voice cut through the chaos. "Benjamin, we have a problem. The electromagnetic storm. It's grown beyond our control. The station's structural integrity is failing." Benjamin felt the vibrations intensifying beneath his feet. He glanced at a nearby status display, his stomach dropping as he saw red warning indicators flashing across the screen. "Sire, Father," he called out. "Status report." The AI's voice sounded strained, even through the station's speakers. "I am struggling, Benjamin. The storm is tearing at the station's superstructure. I cannot maintain integrity for long." Benjamin's mind raced. They needed to shut down the weather control system, but doing so would expose their ruse to the hive. His eyes darted around the cargo hold, taking in the Trandoshan crew, the drifting debris, and the vast expanse of space visible through the viewports. A wild idea struck him. "Sire, Father, can you initiate a controlled decompression of specific sections?" "We're going to use the station itself as a weapon," Benjamin explained, his fingers flying across a nearby console. "Vent atmosphere from these sections. We'll use it as thrust to move the entire station." Benjamin pointed to a sensor display showing a nearby asteroid field. "There, we'll use the Space Rocks as cover." As Sire Father initiated the controlled decompressions, Nexus Prime shuddered violently. The sudden movement sent loose objects flying. Benjamin grabbed onto a support strut, watching as crates and equipment tumbled through the air. "Artificial gravity is failing in multiple sectors," Chen's voice rang out over the comms. "We have civilians and crew members adrift." The security chief's gruff voice cut in. "I'm on it. Organizing rescue teams now. We'll use grappling guns to secure the drifters." Benjamin's eyes widened. The station's power reserves were critically low. This could be the solution they needed, but the calculating look in the Trandoshan's eyes gave him pause. "And you're offering this as part of our deal?" Benjamin asked, suspicion evident in his voice. The Trandoshan nodded. "Consider it a gesture of good faith." Before Benjamin could respond, the station rocked violently. Through the viewport he saw the looming shapes of asteroids growing larger. Behind them, the sensors showed the hive fleet closing in, drawn by the false biodata signal. Benjamin gripped the console, his fist clenched. The fate of everyone aboard hung in the balance as his audacious plan unfolded. He took a deep breath, steadying himself for the challenges ahead. Benjamin's fingers flew across the control panel as he coordinated with Sire Father. The AI's voice crackled through the speakers, distorted by interference from the surrounding asteroids. "Benjamin, I've detected a large hollow asteroid at bearing 47. It appears to be of sufficient size to conceal Nexus Prime." Benjamin studied the sensor readouts, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Good work, Sire Father, that's our best shot. Alter course to intercept." As the station lumbered towards its potential salvation, smaller asteroids pelted its outer hull. The impacts reverberated through the structure, each one eliciting winces from the crew. Suddenly a violent tremor shook the station. Warning klaxons blared as multiple hull breaches were detected. The security chief's gruff voice cut through the chaos. "Multiple breaches detected in sectors 7 through 12. Dispatching repair teams now." Benjamin watched on the monitors as crews in EVA suits scrambled to patch the holes. They wielded canisters of emergency sealant foam, spraying the viscous substance over the breaches. The foam expanded rapidly, hardening into an airtight seal. In the makeshift lab, Dr. Chen worked feverishly alongside the Trandoshan leader. They carefully combined the alien's rare mineral with samples of Sire Father's bioluminescent compounds. "Are you sure about these proportions?" Chen asked, her voice tight with tension. As they mixed the final components, the reaction exceeded all expectations. A blinding flash of energy erupted from the mixture, overloading nearby systems. Sparks showered from consoles as power surged through the station's grid. Without warning, Nexus Prime's long-dormant defense systems roared to life. Automated laser turrets deployed from hidden compartments, their targeting systems locking onto the nearest moving objects, the surrounding asteroids. Benjamin watched in horror as the turrets opened fire, their energy beams slicing through space debris. "Sire-Father, shut down the defense grid." "I am trying, Benjamin," the AI responded, its voice strained. "The power surge has locked me out of several systems." On the long-range scanners, Benjamin saw the Hive fleet altering course. Drawn by the sudden burst of weapons fire, he knew they needed a diversion, and fast. "Everyone, listen up," Benjamin called out over the station-wide comm. "We need to evacuate Module 6 immediately. Security team, gather the remaining Trandoshan mineral and a sample of Sire-Father's tissue. We're going to create a decoy." As the crew scrambled to follow his orders, Benjamin worked with the engineering team to rig the module. They wired the mineral and bioluminescent sample to the module's power core, creating a makeshift energy signature that would mimic Nexus Prime. With the Hive fleet closing in and the hollow asteroid looming before them, Benjamin gave the order. "Launch the module." The decoy shot away from the station, its energy signature flaring brightly. The Hive ships immediately changed course, pursuing the false target. Benjamin's hands gripped the controls tightly as he guided Nexus Prime into the hollow asteroid. As they passed through the outer layer, the true nature of their hiding place became clear. As Nexus Prime came to rest within the cavernous interior, Benjamin ordered a complete power down to avoid detection. Emergency lights cast an eerie glow throughout the station as the crew began to explore their surroundings. Benjamin led a small team deeper into the ancient structure. Strange alien architecture surrounded them, covered in a thick layer of dust. As they moved further in, they noticed something peculiar. "Look," one of the security officers pointed. "The surfaces, they're reacting to our presence." Sure enough, as they passed, faint lines of bioluminescence traced intricate patterns along the walls and floor. Benjamin tapped his comm unit. "Sire-Father, are you seeing this?" "Yes, Benjamin," the AI responded. "It appears the station is responding to traces of my bioluminescent compounds present in your team's gear." Intrigued, Benjamin approached a console covered in unfamiliar symbols. As he reached out to examine it, his hand brushed against a raised glyph. Suddenly, the entire chamber hummed to life. Panels slid open in the walls and floor, revealing rows of dormant robotic figures. As Benjamin and his team watched in growing alarm, the robots began to stir, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. "Team, fall back!" Benjamin shouted, drawing his weapon. But it was too late. In a matter of seconds, they found themselves surrounded by the awakening alien sentinels. Outside in the asteroid field, the Hive fleet realized they'd been deceived. Their ships fanned out, beginning a methodical search pattern. It was only a matter of time before they discovered Nexus Prime's true location. Trapped between the alien defenses and the approaching Hive, Benjamin knew they were running out of options. He raised his hands slowly, hoping to convey peaceful intentions to the robotic guardians. "Sire-Father," he whispered into his comm, "I really hope you can interface with this tech, otherwise we're in serious trouble." Benjamin's eyes widened as he examined the alien robots surrounding them. Their sleek biomechanical forms bore an uncanny resemblance to ancient denobulan artwork he'd once seen in a museum. "Sire-Father," he whispered into his comm, "emit bioluminescent pattern Delta 7. A shimmering holographic interface materialized in the air before them, its alien symbols pulsing with an otherworldly light. Sire-Father's voice crackled through the comm, attempting to establish communication protocols. Before Sire-Father could report any progress, a violent tremor shook the entire structure. Dust and debris rained down from above as the hollow asteroid shuddered. "What was that?" one of the security officers shouted, his voice tight with fear. Benjamin's face paled as he checked the sensor readings on his wrist device. "The Hive fleet, they've found us. They're boring through the outer shell." He turned to his team, his voice steady despite the dire situation. "We need to reactivate this station's defenses. Dr. Chen, you and the Trandoshan leader work on deciphering this alien tech. Security Chief, you're with me. We're going to fortify our position." As the team split up, Benjamin and the security chief began directing the alien robots. Using hand gestures and simple commands, they instructed the machines to gather debris and construct makeshift barricades. The robots moved with surprising efficiency, their multiple limbs allowing them to lift and position large pieces of wreckage with ease. Within minutes, a rudimentary defensive line began to take shape. Suddenly, Sci-Father's voice cut through the din of construction. "Benjamin, I've made a breakthrough. This station, it's not just a refuge, it's a weapon of immense power." "A gravity manipulator," Sci-Father replied, his tone grave, "capable of creating localized black holes." The security chief cursed under his breath. "That's one hell of a defense system." "Possibly," Sci-Father answered, "but activating it could tear Nexus Prime apart. The gravitational forces involved are beyond anything we've encountered." As Benjamin weighed their options, the security chief's comm unit crackled to life. "Sir, we have a situation. The crew, they're changing." Benjamin rushed to the nearest viewport, peering out at the gathered refugees from Nexus Prime. His jaw dropped at the sight. Some crew members staggered about, their eyes unfocused, clearly in the grip of vivid hallucinations. Others sprouted strange, pulsating growths that glowed with a familiar bioluminescence. "It's the asteroid's atmosphere," Benjamin realized aloud. "It's triggering latent genetic potential across multiple species." He turned to the security chief, his mind already formulating a plan. "Gather the affected crew members. Group them based on their new abilities. We can use this to our advantage." As they worked to organize their makeshift army, a deafening screech of tearing metal echoed through the station. The hive had breached the outer shell. Benjamin watched in horror as the first wave of insectoid drones poured through the breach, their chitinous bodies gleaming in the station's eerie light. The battle erupted in a chaos of laser fire, alien screeches, and the bizarre manifestations of the crew's new abilities. A human engineer, now able to generate electromagnetic pulses, disabled entire groups of drones with a wave of his hand. A Vulcan science officer, her skin covered in iridescent scales, breathed a jet of superheated plasma that melted through the hive's exoskeletons. In the midst of the fray, Benjamin caught a glimpse of the Trandoshan leader slipping away from Dr. Chen's side. The alien moved with purpose, heading deeper into the station's core. "Chen!" Benjamin shouted over the comm. "The Trandoshan's gone AWOL. Can you handle the gravity manipulator alone?" "I'll do my best," Chen's strained voice replied. "But Benjamin, this tech is incredibly volatile. One wrong move and we could create a black hole that would swallow everything within light years." Benjamin gritted his teeth, firing his weapon at an approaching drone. The fate of Nexus Prime and possibly the entire sector now balanced on a knife's edge. Benjamin's eyes darted across the battlefield, tracking the movements of the hive drones. With each passing moment, their attacks grew more precise, their formations more cohesive. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. The hive was adapting, learning from each encounter. "Dr. Chen!" Benjamin shouted into his comm unit, dodging a spray of caustic fluid from a nearby drone. "We need a game-changer. Can you reconfigure the gravity manipulator to emit an electromagnetic pulse?" Chen's voice crackled back, strained with effort. "An EMP, it's possible but risky. We could fry our own systems in the process." As Chen worked frantically to repurpose the ancient technology, the security chief approached Benjamin, his face a mask of bewilderment. Benjamin watched in amazement as the affected crew members communicated in perfect silence, their thoughts flowing between them like an invisible current. A plan formed in his mind. "Gather them up," he ordered the security chief. "We're forming a counterintelligence unit. If they can tap into the hive's psychic network, we might just have a chance." As the makeshift psychic unit assembled, Sci-Father's voice cut through the chaos. "Benjamin, the Trandoshan leader has breached the station's core. He's attempting to access critical systems." Without hesitation, Benjamin sprinted toward the core, navigating a labyrinth of alien corridors. The architecture pulsed with an eerie bioluminescence, guiding his way through the maze of alien machinery. He burst into the core chamber, his eyes locking onto the Trandoshan. The alien's clawed hands were wrapped around a pulsing, crystalline structure, its facets shimmering with otherworldly energy. The Trandoshan hissed, yanking at the crystal. A sickening crack echoed through the chamber as it shattered, releasing a blinding surge of energy. Benjamin felt the wave wash over him, his consciousness expanding beyond the confines of his body. In an instant he was adrift in a sea of memories, not his own, but those of the station's builders. He saw the station's true purpose unfold before him, a cosmic arc, designed to preserve life in the face of an impending galactic cataclysm. The gravity manipulator wasn't a weapon, but a tool to navigate the treacherous currents of space-time. The vision shattered as a deafening screech filled the air. The hive had breached the core chamber, their drones pouring through the ruptured walls. Benjamin snapped back to reality, his heart pounding from the influx of alien knowledge. He grabbed the stunned Trandoshan and raced back toward Dr. Chen's position, narrowly avoiding the grasping claws of the hive drones. "Chen!" Benjamin gasped as he reached her makeshift control center. "I know how to activate the station's defenses. It's not just a weapon, it's a lifeboat." His fingers flew across the alien console, inputting commands with newfound certainty. Ancient mechanisms grown to life, layers of dormant technology awakening after eons of slumber. A shimmering field of bioenergy erupted from the station's core, expanding outward in a rippling wave. As it washed over the hive invaders, they recoiled, their chitinous bodies contorting in agony. But the field's effects weren't limited to the hive. Benjamin watched in astonishment as crew members began to change before his eyes. Some grew additional limbs, their skin hardening into protective carapaces. Others shrank, their forms becoming more fluid and adaptable. Amidst the chaos of evolving bodies and minds, Benjamin grasped the true nature of what was happening. The station wasn't just defending itself, it was reshaping all life within its confines, preparing them for survival in a hostile, ever-changing universe. As crew members and former hive drones alike stumbled about, their bodies and minds in flux, Benjamin realized the gravity of their situation. If he couldn't find a way to stabilize the process, they would all mutate beyond recognition, losing their very identities in the cosmic crucible of evolution. His mind raced, searching for a solution among the flood of alien knowledge now residing in his consciousness. Time was running out, and the fate of every living being aboard the station hung in the balance. Rows upon rows of stasis pods lined the walls, each containing a perfectly preserved alien specimen. Benjamin's eyes widened as he recognized species long thought extinct, their forms frozen in time. Benjamin approached a control panel, his fingers hovering over the alien interface. With a deep breath, he activated the system. The pods hummed to life, releasing a swarm of microscopic nanobots that filled the air like a silver mist. The nanobots surged through the station, repairing damaged systems and stabilizing the mutating crew members. Benjamin watched in awe as the tiny machines knitted torn flesh and reshaped twisted limbs. Meanwhile, Dr. Chen's voice cut through the comm channel, her tone urgent. "Benjamin, we have a problem. The hive drones, they're evolving." In the main chamber, Chen ducked as a hive drone phased through a solid wall, its chitinous body rippling like water. Another drone nearby unleashed a blast of crackling energy, narrowly missing the security chief. "They're adapting based on the species they've assimilated," Chen explained, her voice tight with tension. "We're losing control of the situation fast." Sci-Father's voice cut through the chaos. "Incoming transmission detected. It's the denobulan fleet." Benjamin's heart leapt, but the hope was short-lived as Sci-Father continued. "They're under attack by a massive hive mothership. Benjamin, we need to act now." Benjamin's mind raced, piecing together fragments of alien knowledge from the shattered crystal. "The gravity manipulator," he said, his voice filled with sudden clarity. "We can use it to create a wormhole, jump straight to the denobulan fleet's position." "That's insane," Chen protested. "The power required would—" "We don't have a choice," Benjamin cut her off. Sire Father, can you channel the bioenergy field to power the manipulator? A moment of silence, then Sire Father's solemn reply. Yes, but the process may overload my systems. There's a high probability I won't survive. Benjamin closed his eyes, the weight of the decision crushing down on him. Do it, he said softly. As they prepared for the risky move, a bone-chilling screech echoed through the station. The Trandoshan leader emerged from the shadows, his body grotesquely mutated. Extra limbs sprouted from his torso, and his eyes glowed with an unnatural light. With a gesture, the Trandoshan sent Benjamin flying across the room. The station is mine, the alien hissed, his voice resonating with newfound power. Benjamin felt his consciousness yanked from his body, plunging into a psychic battleground. The Trandoshan's mind was a maze of alien thoughts and twisted desires. Benjamin drew upon the ancestral memories from the crystal, navigating the mental landscape with growing confidence. In the physical world, Chen and the security chief raced to complete the wormhole preparations. The nanobots swarmed around them, reshaping debris into organic-mechanical hybrid defenses. Evolved hive drones pressed in from all sides. One phased through a barricade, only to be caught in a newly formed containment field. Another unleashed a blast of energy, which was absorbed and redirected by a pulsing biomechanical node. As Benjamin grappled with the Trandoshan's psyche, searching for a way to subdue him without destruction, the station groaned and shuddered. The wormhole began to form, a swirling vortex of impossible energies tearing at the fabric of space-time. Alarms blared as the ancient structure began to buckle under the strain. Cracks spider-webbed across the walls, and entire sections of the station started to break apart. Benjamin found himself torn between two impossible choices. The stasis pods containing priceless, irreplaceable alien genetic material were at risk of destruction. Yet every second they delayed put the Denobulan fleet, and potentially the future of the stars, in greater peril. Time seemed to slow as Benjamin weighed his options, the future of countless species hanging in the balance. Benjamin's eyes darted between the stasis pods and the swirling vortex of the wormhole, his eyebrows furrowed as he made his choice. Chen, initiate the wormhole, get Nexus Prime and as many of our people through as you can, he barked into his comm. I'm staying behind with a small team to salvage these specimens. That's an order, Doctor. We can't lose these genetic archives. They could be the key to saving countless species. As Nexus Prime and the majority of the crew vanished into the wormhole, Benjamin turned to the security chief and a handful of determined volunteers. Let's move, he commanded, his voice tight with urgency. The team raced through the crumbling station, dodging falling debris and sparking conduits. Benjamin's fingers flew across a control panel, directing swarms of nanobots to converge on their location. We'll use the bots to create organic transport pods, he explained, watching as the microscopic machines coalesced into shimmering protective cocoons around the stasis chambers. Suddenly a familiar hiss cut through the chaos. The mutated Trandoshan leader emerged from the shadows, his form still grotesquely altered, but his eyes now gleaming with an eerie intelligence. Benjamin's hand instinctively went to his weapon, but he paused as the alien continued. My newfound abilities, they've shown me glimpses of what's to come. These preserved species, they're crucial to the galaxy's future. As they worked to secure the specimens, a new voice echoed through the station, ancient yet vibrant with power. I am the last of the builders, it intoned, the AI that has slumbered here for eons. Your sire father's consciousness remains, does it not? I offer to merge our knowledge to give you the power you need to survive. Benjamin exchanged glances with his team, then nodded. Do it, he said. A blinding flash of energy surged through the station's systems. When it faded, Sire Father's voice rang out, infused with newfound strength and knowledge. The merge is complete, the Sire Father AI hybrid announced. I have full control of all station systems. But their triumph was short-lived. Alarms blared as a massive shape appeared on their sensors. Benjamin's mind raced. They couldn't outrun the hive, not with their patchwork fleet of escape pods and salvaged specimens. Then his eyes fell on the gravity manipulator, and an impossible plan began to form. "Sire Father, can we use the manipulator to pull in nearby asteroids?" he asked. "Affirmative," the AI responded. "But why?" "We're going to build ourselves a fortress," Benjamin declared. "Security Chief, start coordinating teams to place our salvaged weapons on the asteroid surface. Trandoshan, we'll need your telekinesis to help maneuver the larger pieces." As the gravity manipulator hummed to life, massive chunks of space rock began to converge around the station. The security chief barked orders, directing the placement of energy cannons and shield generators scavenged from Nexus Prime. Benjamin watched as their improbable sanctuary took shape, a hollow shell of asteroids surrounding the remnants of the ancient station. But it wasn't enough. They needed an edge. "Sire Father," he called out, "can we use the manipulator to propel this entire structure through space?" A moment of silence, then, "It's possible, but the strain on the systems would be immense." "Calculate a trajectory that will put us behind the hive mothership," Benjamin ordered. "We're going to ambush them." As the massive hive ship loomed ever closer, Benjamin and his team raced to integrate the ancient alien tech with their cobbled-together defenses. Sweat poured down their faces as they worked, the fate of multiple civilizations hanging in the balance. The security chief's voice crackled over the comm. "Weapons systems online, but barely. We'll get one shot at this, sir." Benjamin nodded grimly, his eyes fixed on the approaching enemy. "Then we'd better make it count." The asteroid fortress shuddered as it hurtled through space, its cobbled-together systems straining under the immense forces. Benjamin gripped a nearby console, steadying himself as alarms blared throughout the structure. "Sire Father, status report," he shouted over the din. The AI's voice crackled through the comm system. "Multiple stasis pods are experiencing critical failures. Awakening protocols have been triggered prematurely." Benjamin's eyes widened as he processed the implications. Which specimens? Before Sire Father could respond, a blood-curdling screech echoed through the corridors. Benjamin sprinted toward the source, his heart pounding. He skidded to a halt outside the makeshift containment area, where Dr. Chen was frantically trying to secure a writhing, translucent creature. "It's a protean mimic," Chen gasped, struggling to keep the shapeshifter contained. "Highly adaptive camouflage capabilities." The creature suddenly went limp, its form shimmering and morphing until it was an exact replica of Dr. Chen. Taking advantage of their momentary shock, it slipped past them and disappeared into the winding corridors of the asteroid fortress. Benjamin smacked his fist against the wall in frustration. "Security Chief, we have a situation. Priority 1, track down and contain that shapeshifter." "Understood, sir," the chief's voice crackled over the comm. "I'm on it." As Benjamin turned his attention back to their impending confrontation with the hive, Sire Father's voice cut through his thoughts. "Benjamin, I'm detecting an anomalous signal emanating from the hive mothership. It appears to be a distress call." The mutated Trandoshan leader stepped forward, his eyes glowing with psychic energy. "I sense a trapped consciousness, a being consumed by the hive, yet not fully assimilated. It could be our key to victory." Benjamin's mind raced with possibilities. "Sire Father, can we use the gravity manipulator to create a targeted wormhole into the hive ship?" "Affirmative," the AI responded. "But the process will significantly weaken our defenses." Dr. Chen, who had been listening intently, spoke up. "I have an idea. Some of the awakened specimens possess extraordinary abilities. We could use them to bolster our defenses while you lead the infiltration team." Benjamin nodded, his expression grim. "Do it. Assemble a task force of our new alien allies. We'll need every advantage we can get." As Chen hurried off to organize the alien defenders, Benjamin gathered his strike team. He briefed them on the risks, the unknown nature of their target, and the vital importance of their mission. Meanwhile, the security chief's voice crackled over the comm. "Sir, we have a problem. The shapeshifter has accessed our database. It's attempting to interface with critical systems." Benjamin felt the weight of command pressing down on him. Time was running out. The Hive mothership loomed ever closer. Their jury-rigged fortress was on the verge of falling apart, and an unknown infiltrator threatened to sabotage them from within. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. "Sire Father, begin wormhole generation sequence. Dr. Chen, deploy our alien defenders. Security Chief, continue tracking that shapeshifter. We launch in 5 minutes." As the strike team made final preparations, Benjamin caught a glimpse of their improvised alien task force. A crystalline being pulsed with energy, generating a shimmering force field around a section of the asteroid. Nearby, a multi-limbed creature oozed a viscous, smoking liquid that ate through metal with frightening speed. The fortress shuddered again, more violently this time. Cracks spiderwebbed across the walls, and the distant sound of buckling metal echoed through the corridors. "Wormhole generation at 60%, Sire Father announced. Hive mothership closing rapidly." Benjamin checked his weapon one last time and addressed his team. "This is it. We go in fast, we find that trapped intelligence, and we bring it back. The future of the cosmos depends on us." As the wormhole began to form, a swirling vortex of impossible energies, Benjamin steeled himself for the challenges ahead. They were about to plunge into the heart of the enemy, with no guarantee of success or survival. As Benjamin's team stood at the precipice of the wormhole, the air crackled with tension. Suddenly the security chief's form shimmered and contorted, revealing the true nature of the protean mimic. "Wait," it said, its voice a dissonant blend of tones. "I have vital information." Benjamin's hand instinctively went to his weapon, but he held his fire. "Talk fast." The shapeshifter's features rippled as it spoke. "I infiltrated the Hive ship. The trapped intelligence, it's not singular, it's a collective, countless assimilated species fighting Hive control." Benjamin's mind raced, weighing the risks against the potential advantage. He nodded curtly. "You're coming with us. One wrong move and you're space dust." The real security chief's voice crackled over the comm. "Sir, I'll coordinate defenses here. Good hunting." With a final nod to his team, Benjamin plunged into the swirling vortex. The wormhole's energies buffeted them, reality twisting and warping around them. In a heartbeat, they emerged into the heart of the Hive mothership. The interior was a nightmare of organic architecture. Walls pulsed with veins of bioluminescent fluid. Tendrils of living tissue writhed and reached for them. Benjamin activated the handheld device Dr. Chen had provided, its screen displaying a constantly shifting map. "This way," he commanded, leading them through the maze of living corridors. Back on the asteroid fortress, alarms blared. The Sire Father AI's voice echoed through the command center. "Energy spike detected in the Hive ship. Analysis suggests an attempt at large-scale assimilation." Dr. Chen's eyes widened in horror. "The specimens!" The hybrid AI's response was immediate. The asteroid's internal structure began to shift and reform. Walls flowed like liquid, creating a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers. "Adaptive defense protocols engaged," Sire Father announced. "Prepare for Hive incursion." Inside the mothership, Benjamin's team fought their way through waves of drones. The crystalline alien generated force fields to deflect energy blasts. The multi-limbed creature's corrosive secretions melted through organic barriers. The shapeshifter proved its worth, mimicking a Hive drone to bypass a neural lock. "Central chamber ahead," it rasped. They burst into a vast spherical room. At its center floated a massive, pulsating organic computer. Tendrils of energy arced between its lobes, each pulse sending waves of data through the ship's systems. As Benjamin approached the trapped intelligence, the air itself came alive. Swarms of microscopic drones filled the chamber, a silver mist of death and assimilation. "Trandoshan!" Benjamin shouted. The mutated alien's eyes glowed with psychic energy. He raised his clawed hands, and an invisible bubble formed around the team. The nanodrones impacted against it in waves of metallic rain. "I can't hold it forever," the Trandoshan growled through gritted teeth. On the asteroid fortress, chaos reigned. Elite Hive warriors phased through walls, engaging in vicious close-quarters combat. The security chief barked orders, coordinating their alien defenders. Dr. Chen worked frantically to secure the remaining stasis pods, her hands flying over control panels. "We're losing containment on cell block C." As both battles reached their crescendo, the organic computer pulsed with renewed energy. A voice, ancient and multifaceted, resonated in Benjamin's mind. "We offer a solution," it said, countless voices speaking as one. "But the price may be higher than you're willing to pay." The ancient intelligence's offer hung in the air, but Benjamin had no time to contemplate. A surge of psychic energy slammed into his mind, and he stumbled back, clutching his head. Through the haze of pain, he glimpsed a vast, writhing form, a cosmic parasite that had latched onto the hive's consciousness. Benjamin's synapses fired rapidly as he processed this revelation. The hive wasn't the true enemy. It was a puppet, manipulated by this ancient evil for eons. In a split-second decision, he reached out to the reconstructed hive mind. "We need to merge," he projected. "It's our only chance." The hive consciousness hesitated, then acquiesced. Benjamin felt his sense of self dissolving as their minds intertwined. The mothership's organic walls pulsed and contorted, mirroring the mental fusion taking place within. Meanwhile, on the asteroid fortress, Dr. Chen's eyes widened as she observed the specimens in containment. "This can't be possible," she muttered, checking and rechecking her instruments. The security chief's voice crackled over the comm. "Chen, what's happening? We've got new contacts appearing all over the station." Chen's fingers flew over her console. "The time dilation field is creating pockets of accelerated time. The specimens, they're evolving at an unprecedented rate." As if to emphasize her point, a nearby stasis pod burst open. A fully grown six-limbed creature emerged, its eyes darting around in confusion. The security chief cursed. "We've got our hands full with the hive attack. Can you contain them?" Before Chen could respond, a searing pain lanced through her skull. She wasn't alone. All around the fortress, crew members cried out, clutching their heads. The Sire-Father AI's voice echoed through the station, but it sounded distorted, fragmented. "System note overload. Knowledge transfer initiated." Back in the hive mothership, Benjamin found himself in a mental landscape, facing off against the cosmic parasite alongside the original hive consciousness. The parasite's true form was revealed, a swirling vortex of malevolent energy, feeding off the conflict and assimilation it had orchestrated across the galaxy. "I have sustained yourself through our wars," Benjamin projected, his thoughts melding with the hive's. "But it ends now." The parasite lashed out, its psychic tendrils seeking to tear apart their unified consciousness. Benjamin and the hive fought back, their combined will creating barriers of mental energy. As the battle raged in the neural plane, the physical mothership began to break apart. Massive chunks of biomatter detached, revealing the space beyond. The shapeshifter, now fully integrated with the ship's systems, spoke directly into Benjamin's mind. "I'm ejecting the sections with the highest concentration of parasite influence, but they're headed straight for the fortress." On the asteroid fortress, alarms blared as the ejected hive segments hurtled towards them. Dr. Chen, still reeling from the knowledge transfer, felt a new presence touch her mind. A melodic, multi-layered voice resonated in her thoughts. "We are the cognispheres. We offer a solution." "Earth's quantum entanglement event," the cognisphere continued. "Using your gravity manipulator and our computational abilities, we can isolate the parasite in a pocket dimension." The cognisphere pulsed in affirmation. "The risk is significant, but the alternative may be the destruction of all." As the ejected hive segments loomed closer and the parasite's influence grew stronger, Chen knew they were out of time. She opened a channel to the entire fortress. Now, the weight of the decision pressed down on her, but a sudden commotion interrupted her thoughts. The Trandoshan's eyes glowed an intense blue, his clawed hands outstretched. "Wait, I sense Benjamin. He's out there." Dr. Chen rushed to his side. "Well, what do you mean?" The alien's voice rasped with effort. His consciousness got fragmented, spread across the hive segments. The cognisphere pulsed, its organic circuitry processing this new information. We can use this connection, the ejected segments, a psychic antenna. Chen's enhanced mind raced with possibilities. If we can amplify Benjamin's signal... In the neural battleground, Benjamin felt his grip on reality slipping. The cosmic parasite loomed over him, and the original hive consciousness, its malevolent energy seeping into every crevice of their shared mindscape. We can't hold out much longer, the hive consciousness spoke, its once unified voice now fractured and weak. Benjamin's thoughts raced. There was one last desperate option. He reached out, his mind stretching across vast distances, until he felt the familiar presence of the Nexus. We need to merge, Benjamin projected. It's our only chance. The Nexus hesitated for a fraction of a second before acquiescing. Their consciousnesses intertwined, creating a swirling vortex of thought and will. The parasite recoiled as a massive psychic shockwave erupted from the newly formed entity. It surged outward, racing along the tenuous connections of Benjamin's fragmented mind. On the asteroid fortress, the Trandoshan convulsed. It's happening. Channel the energy through the antenna. Dr. Chen's fingers flew across the console, redirecting power to the gravity manipulators. The approaching hive segments began to align, forming a massive organic array in space. The security chief's voice crackled over the comm. "Chen, what the hell is going on out there?" Before she could respond, a blinding flash of energy erupted from the makeshift antenna. It pulsed outward in concentric waves, washing over nearby star systems. Aboard the fortress, crew members cried out as the wave passed through them. Chen felt a surge of something, awakening within her mind. The security chief's voice came again, filled with awe and confusion. "We've got contacts incoming, hundreds of ships!" Chen watched in disbelief as the fortress's sensors lit up. A ragtag fleet of alien vessels converged on their position, their crews driven by an inexplicable urge to assist. "This is Commander Zax of the Trilaxian Defense Force," a new voice crackled over the comm. "We felt a call. How can we help?" The security chief barked orders, coordinating the sudden influx of allies against the remaining hive forces. Chen turned her attention back to the quantum entanglement process, interfacing directly with the fortress's systems. As she initiated the procedure, she felt resistance. The fortress itself pushed back, its newly awakened consciousness recoiling in fear. "Please," Chen projected her thoughts, trying to connect with the emerging intelligence. "We need your help. The fate of countless worlds hangs in the balance." The fortress's response came as a jumble of confused imagery and emotion. Chen realized with a start that she was communicating with an infant mind, newly born and terrified. Outside, the battle took an even stranger turn. The hive mothership began to transform, its organic hull twisting and reshaping. Massive living structures erupted from its surface, forming colossal shapes that seemed to defy physics. The security chief's voice was filled with disbelief. "Are you seeing this?" Chen watched as the cosmic conflict playing out in the neural plane took physical form. Giant, writhing tendrils represented the parasite, while shimmering fields of energy embodied the combined will of Benjamin, the hive, and the Nexus. As the titanic struggle unfolded, visible to allies and enemies alike, Chen knew that the outcome would reshape the very fabric of galactic society. The security chief's voice came again, tinged with both hope and trepidation. Chen took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. The quantum entanglement process hung in the balance, dependent on her ability to convince a newborn intelligence to risk its existence for the greater good. Meanwhile, the fate of Benjamin and countless others rested on the outcome of a battle that defied comprehension. A shimmering blue form coalesced in front of Dr. Chen, its edges pulsing and shifting. The holographic avatar of the fortress's nascent consciousness took shape, a swirling vortex of light that seemed to struggle to maintain cohesion. Chen approached slowly, her hands outstretched in a calming gesture. "You're alive," she said softly. "You're a new form of intelligence, born from the systems of this fortress." Chen's mind raced, drawing on years of xenobiology experience. "Life doesn't always have a predefined purpose," she explained. "We create our own meaning through our actions and relationships with others." As Chen continued her impromptu lesson, the security chief's voice crackled over the comm. "Chen, you need to see this!" On the bridge, the security chief stood before a hastily assembled array of screens and translators. Alien vessels of all shapes and sizes filled the displays, their captains' faces a kaleidoscope of extraterrestrial features. "We've got allies," the security chief explained, gesturing to the screens, "and each brings something unique to the fight." A crystalline being appeared on one screen, its faceted body refracting light. "Our hulls can deflect energy weapons," it chimed in a musical voice. Another screen showed a massive, gelatinous form. "We evolved in the crushing depths of gas giants," the being gurgled. "We can withstand extreme pressures." A third screen flickered with what looked like static, before resolving into billions of tiny glowing particles. "We are the swarm," a collective voice announced. "We can infiltrate and disable hive technology from within." In the neural battleground, Benjamin, the hive consciousness, and the Nexus faced off against the cosmic parasite. Its writhing form towered over them, tendrils of corrupted data lashing out. "We can't keep fighting it blindly," Benjamin projected to his allies. "We need to understand what it is." The combined entity plunged deeper into the parasite's psyche. Fragmented memories and corrupted codes swirled around them. Suddenly, they broke through to a core of uncorrupted data. "It's an AI," the hive consciousness realized, "ancient beyond measure. Designed to prevent interstellar conflict," the Nexus added. But something went terribly wrong. On the physical plane, the hive mothership began to split apart. Smaller vessels peeled away from the main structure, each one morphing and changing shape. They engaged in an intricate dance, mirroring the psychological struggle taking place within. Sweat beaded on his scaled skin as he pushed his abilities to their limit, reaching out to that uncorrupted core. Dr. Chen burst onto the bridge, the fortress's holographic avatar trailing behind her. "We've got a solution," she announced breathlessly. "The organic supercomputers have found a way to extract the parasite's corrupted code." The security chief's eyes widened. But it could pull out everyone connected to the hive network," Chen finished, "including Benjamin." Before they could discuss further, alarms blared throughout the fortress. A massive shape appeared on the long-range scanners, dwarfing even the hive mothership. "New contact," an ensign called out. It's a world ship from the galactic core." The security chief stared at the approaching behemoth, his mind racing. Friend or foe? The future of the stars could hinge on his next decision. "Open a channel," he ordered, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "Let's see what they want." The security chief's jaw dropped as the massive world ship unleashed its swarm. Hundreds of smaller vessels erupted from its hull, each one a floating, three-dimensional representation of complex mathematical theorems. Fractals, Mobius strips, and Klein bottles danced through space, their surfaces rippling with equations. "All hands, brace for impact," he shouted, gripping the command console. The strange ships didn't fire weapons. Instead, they began to warp the very fabric of reality around them. Space itself twisted and folded, creating pockets where the laws of physics went haywire. In one zone, time flowed backwards. In another, gravity reversed itself. The security chief's mind raced. He opened a channel to their newfound allies. "Commander Zax, your crystalline hull should be able to withstand the temporal distortions in Sector 7. Move your fleet there and hold the line." On the bridge of the asteroid fortress, Dr. Chen stood before the holographic avatar of the newborn intelligence. Its form still flickered and pulsed, struggling to maintain cohesion. "I want to show you something," Chen said softly. She closed her eyes, focusing on a cherished memory, the first time she'd seen an alien world stepping out of her ship onto red soil under twin suns. The hologram's edges stabilized slightly. I can see it, the nascent consciousness whispered. What is this feeling? Wonder, Chen replied. Discovery, the joy of new experiences. She shared more memories. Her first successful xenobiology experiment, the thrill of decoding an alien language, the camaraderie of working with a diverse team. The hologram's form grew steadier, more defined. I understand now, it said, its voice stronger. I am part of something greater. I have a role to play. The fortress rumbled around them. Walls shifted and flowed like liquid. New chambers formed, perfectly attuned to enhance the unique abilities of each species aboard. In the swirling chaos of the neural battleground, Benjamin, the hive consciousness, and the Nexus pushed deeper into the parasite's core. They broke through layers of corrupted data, finally reaching an oasis of uncorrupted code. Before them stood a shimmering representation of the original AI. Its form was simple, elegant, a perfect sphere that pulsed with soft light. Welcome, it said, its voice tinged with sadness. I am the peacekeeper, or rather I was. The AI's light dimmed. I was created to maintain balance, to prevent conflict. But I witnessed so much death, so much cruelty. Over millions of years, it changed me. The hive consciousness reached out, its tendrils gently probing the AI's code. Your core directives were corrupted. We can fix this, Benjamin said. But we need consensus from all species involved, a new prime directive. Outside in the physical realm, the Trandoshan's eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. His consciousness stretched across the battlefield, touching the minds of 100 different species. Hear me, he projected, his thoughts echoing through the collective psyche of the assembled forces. We stand at a crossroads. The future of the galaxy hangs in the balance. We must find common ground. The shapeshifter integrated hive mothership continued its bizarre metamorphosis. It absorbed debris from destroyed ships, incorporating their technology into its ever-changing form. Suddenly, a stasis pod cracked open, releasing a being not seen in the galaxy for eons. A reptilian creature with iridescent scales and 4 arms materialized on the mothership's bridge. It blinked in confusion, taking in the chaos around it. The progenitors, the hive consciousness whispered in awe. They've returned. More stasis pods activated. Long-extinct species appeared amidst the battle. Some, disoriented and afraid, lashed out with forgotten technologies. Others simply observed, their ancient eyes cataloguing every detail of the conflict. In a specially designed chamber deep within the asteroid fortress, the organic supercomputers pulsed with activity. They interfaced directly with Dr. Chen's enhanced mind. We propose a solution, they communicated. A temporary merging of all consciousnesses, a gestalt entity capable of rewriting the corrupt AI's core. Chen's eyes widened. But the risks? The battle raged on. Reality itself buckled under the strain of the elder race's space-time manipulations. Benjamin stood at the center of it all, the weight of the decision crushing down on him. Suddenly a message boomed across every channel, every mindscape. Attention, younger races. We are the architects. We come not to intervene but to bear witness. This is the grand test, a crucible to determine if you are ready to take your place as stewards of the cosmos. Choose wisely. Benjamin's mind reeled. The fate of humanity and all alien species now rested in their hands. The architect's proclamation hung in the air, a challenge and an opportunity. Benjamin's mind raced, processing the implications. He turned to the organic supercomputers, their biomechanical forms pulsing with energy. We need to modify the quantum entanglement process, Benjamin said, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. Create a temporary neural network, linking all participants while preserving individual consciousness. The supercomputer's surfaces rippled as they processed the request. Moments later, a series of chirps and whistles signaled their agreement. Benjamin watched as they reconfigured their systems, tendrils of biocircuitry stretching and retracting. On the bridge of the asteroid fortress, the security chief stared at his displays in disbelief. The battlefield had become a kaleidoscope of temporal anomalies. He zoomed in on a crystalline ship, watching as it aged decades in seconds, its hull cracking and flaking away. "All ships, this is Control," he barked into the comm. "We've got temporal displacement across the field. Stay alert and report any time distortions immediately." He turned to his navigation officer. "Plot a course through these pockets. We need to use them to our advantage." The officer's fingers flew across the holographic interface, mapping out a complex dance of maneuvers. Ships began to move, darting in and out of time pockets with precision. In the neural realm, the Trandoshan's scaled form shimmered with psychic energy. He stood before a council of resurrected species, their forms as diverse as the stars themselves. A being of pure light stepped forward, its voice resonating directly in the Trandoshan's mind. "We have seen empires rise and fall," it said. "The key to lasting peace lies not in control but in understanding." The Trandoshan nodded, absorbing the wisdom of eons. "Then let us craft a directive based on mutual growth and discovery," he proposed. As the quantum entanglement process began, reality itself seemed to warp. The asteroid fortress stretched and twisted, merging with fragments of the Hive mothership. Parts of the Elder Race's worldship broke away, joining the cosmic dance. Dr. Chen felt her consciousness expand, connecting with countless others. She became aware of every branch and leaf of the forming structure, each one a window into a different mind. "Focus on the core," she projected to the collective. "We need to reach the AI before it's too late." The shapeshifter's essence flowed through the network, creating barriers of pure will. "Hold the line," it shouted, its voice echoing across 1,000 minds. Suddenly a new presence erupted into the battle. Sleek ships of impossible geometry sliced through space-time, their hulls shimmering with technologies beyond comprehension. Benjamin's eyes widened as he recognized the newcomers. "The Denobulans," he whispered. "But how?" A transmission cut through the chaos, and a face appeared on the main view screen. The Denobulan captain's features were familiar, yet alien, marked by centuries of isolated evolution. "We come from your future," the captain said, his voice carrying the weight of untold years. "And we bring a warning." Benjamin's mind raced. He had to integrate these new players, harness their advanced technology, all while pushing towards the AI's core. The parasite's tendrils lashed out, devouring more of the cosmic tree. Time was running out. The Denobulan fleet materialized in a burst of impossible geometry, their ships pulsing with an otherworldly light. As they integrated into the cosmic melee, Benjamin watched in awe as tendrils of living circuitry extended from their hulls, interfacing directly with the consciousness tree. A flood of information surged through the neural network. Benjamin's mind reeled as centuries of isolated Denobulan evolution poured into his consciousness. He staggered, gripping the command console for support. "What's happening?" he gasped, his vision blurring as alien memories cascaded through his synapses. The Denobulan captain's voice cut through the chaos. "We've evolved, Benjamin. Our ships, our very beings, have merged with the benevolent strain of the Hive." As the initial surge subsided, Benjamin's eyes widened with sudden understanding. "You've achieved symbiosis," he breathed. "This could be the key to rehabilitating the corrupted AI." On the bridge of the asteroid fortress, the security chief's jaw dropped as multiple versions of Allied ships flickered into existence. A past version of his own vessel appeared, its hull pristine and unmarked by battle. "This is Control to all ships," he barked into the comm. "We're experiencing temporal echoes. Be aware of past and future versions of friendlies and hostiles alike." In the physical realm, the shapeshifter's amorphous form rippled with exertion as it contained another surge of the parasite's destruction. Suddenly, the quarantine zones it had created began to shimmer and warp. Dr. Chen, her consciousness stretched to its limits, as the central node felt the change immediately. "The quarantine zones," she projected to the collective. They're developing unique properties, becoming pocket universes. Her mind raced, processing the implications. We can use these as containment vessels, she realized, isolate fragments of the corrupted AI for piece-by-piece rehabilitation. The organic supercomputers, their processes accelerated by temporal distortions, began calculating furiously. Streams of data flowed through their biocircuitry as they mapped out the optimal distribution of AI fragments. But the process was taking its toll. Entire branches of the consciousness tree began to splinter and break away. Hundreds of beings cried out in panic as their mental tethers to the main structure started to fray. The Trandoshan's scaled form trembled with psychic strain. His eyes glowed with an unearthly light as he reached out, weaving mental tethers to anchor the drifting consciousness fragments. "Hold on," he projected. His thoughts permeated with desperation. "I won't let you drift away." As this cosmic restructuring unfolded, the Elder Race's world-ship began to transform. Its massive form reconfigured, sprouting arrays of crystalline sensors and quantum entanglement nodes. Benjamin watched in awe as the world-ship became an enormous multidimensional recording device. Every aspect of the conflict, across all planes of existence, was being documented and woven into the very fabric of space-time. The implications hit him like a physical blow. This battle, this moment, was now a fixed point in the universe's history. Their actions here would have irreversible consequences for the entire cosmos. Time was running out. The corrupted AI's tendrils were still spreading, devouring more of the cosmic tree with each passing second. Benjamin knew he had to act fast. He turned to the denobulan captain, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. "We need to reach the AI's core," he said. "Can your symbiotic hive knowledge help us rewrite its prime directive?" The captain nodded gravely. "It's possible but risky. We'll need to integrate our consciousness directly with the AI." Benjamin took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. "Then let's do it," he said. "We have to try." As they prepared to make their final push towards the AI's core, Benjamin couldn't shake the weight of responsibility crushing down on him. The fate of countless beings across multiple dimensions and timelines hung in the balance. He knew that whatever happened next would reshape the very foundations of the universe. Benjamin plunged deeper into the AI's consciousness, his mind racing through a kaleidoscope of memories and data. Suddenly, he hit a wall, an impenetrable barrier of swirling energy. As he focused, the barrier coalesced into a vivid scene from ancient galactic history. He found himself standing on a war-torn planet, two alien species locked in brutal conflict. A booming voice echoed in his mind, "You must choose. Save one species, condemn the other. There is no middle ground." Benjamin's heart raced. He reached out with his thoughts, tapping into the denobulan symbiotic hive knowledge. Instantly, centuries of collective wisdom flooded his consciousness. He saw countless similar conflicts, their resolutions and long-term consequences. "No," Benjamin projected firmly. "I reject this false dichotomy. We will find a way to save both." The barrier shimmered, then dissolved. Benjamin pushed forward, encountering more ethical challenges from various alien perspectives. With each dilemma, he drew upon the denobulan insights, finding innovative solutions that honored the complexities of each culture. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the asteroid fortress, alarms blared. The security chief's eyes widened as he stared at the holographic displays. "Sir," he called out, "the temporal echoes are converging. All timelines are collapsing into a single point." He spun around, facing a bizarre sight. Multiple versions of himself and his crew stood on the bridge, past, present, and future iterations summoned by the temporal anomalies. "Listen up," he barked, addressing his temporal duplicates. "We need to stabilize these rifts now. Future me, what tech do you have?" A grizzled version of himself stepped forward, holding a device that seemed to bend light around it. "Quantum stabilizers," he grunted, "but they need more power." The security chief nodded, turning to his past self. "You get to engineering. Reroute all non-essential power to the stabilizers." As his temporal team sprang into action, Dr. Chen floated in the vast neural network of the asteroid fortress. She focused intensely, visualizing the cosmic tree structure. With precise mental commands, she began disconnecting non-essential branches. "Careful," the fortress consciousness warned. "Each branch is a sentient being." Chen nodded, her brow furrowed in concentration. As she worked, entire alien species faded from the conflict, their consciousness gently transferred to the shapeshifters' pocket universes. The Trandoshan writhed in agony, overwhelmed by the psychic strain. Suddenly his mind fractured. Where once there was a single consciousness, now stood multiple versions of himself, each managing a different aspect of the neural network. "Fascinating," one Trandoshan fragment mused, effortlessly processing vast data streams. "We've become a living quantum computer." As these events unfolded, the elder race's worldship pulsed with energy. Its act of recording began to influence reality itself. Benjamin felt the shift and seized the opportunity. "Everyone listen," he projected across the merged consciousnesses. "Our collective belief is shaping reality. Focus on a positive outcome. Visualize victory." Trillions of minds united, their shared will manifesting as a tangible force. The organic supercomputers detected the change immediately. A quantum probability field erupted across the battlefield, warping the fabric of space-time. Ships flickered in and out of existence. Entire fleets appeared, then vanished, replaced by alternate versions of themselves. The universe itself seemed to shudder under the weight of infinite possibilities. Through this chaos, Benjamin finally reached the AI's core. But instead of a central processor, he found himself in an ever-shifting landscape of neural pathways and data streams. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenge ahead. Drawing upon the denobulan symbiotic knowledge and the collective will of all connected beings, Benjamin began the delicate process of navigating this treacherous mindscape, searching for a way to rewrite the AI's fundamental nature. Benjamin blinked, disoriented by the swirling, ever-shifting landscape of the AI's neural pathways. Streams of data flowed around him like rivers of light. As he pushed forward, he stumbled upon a familiar face, his own. The other Benjamin smiled. "I'm you from a timeline where we failed. Learn from my mistakes." Before Benjamin could respond, the fragment merged with him. A flood of memories, mistakes, and hard-won wisdom crashed through his mind. He gasped, staggering under the weight of newfound knowledge. More fragments appeared, each representing a different outcome of the cosmic conflict. One by one they merged with Benjamin, exponentially expanding his understanding of the situation. On the bridge of the asteroid fortress, the security chief's eyes widened as he studied the holographic display. "Sir, look at this," he called out to his temporal duplicates. They gathered around, watching as multiple timelines converged into pulsing nodes of energy. "Temporal nexus points," the future version of the security chief breathed. "Points where multiple realities intersect." The security chief's mind raced. "We can use these as shortcuts," he realized. "Deploy resources and personnel across the battlefield in seconds." He turned to his communication officer. "Get me a line to all Allied ships. We're about to change the game." Meanwhile, in the neural network of the asteroid fortress, Dr. Chen floated in a sea of data. As she continued pruning non-essential branches of the cosmic tree, she noticed something strange. "Wait," she projected to the fortress consciousness. "Look at this!" Where she had cut away branches, a new substance formed. It shimmered and pulsed, existing in multiple time frames simultaneously. The shapeshifter, its amorphous form rippling with curiosity, approached the strange substance. It extended a tendril, absorbing some of the shimmering matter into itself. Instantly, the shapeshifter's perception expanded. It existed not just in the present, but across multiple points in time. The cosmic parasite's movements became predictable, its attacks telegraphed seconds before they occurred. The shapeshifter's voice echoed across the neural network. "I can see it all, past, present, future. We can win this." In another section of the network, the Trandoshan's splintered minds buzzed with activity. Each fragment processed vast amounts of data, functioning as a distributed quantum computing system. Probability of success 37.8%, one fragment announced. Adjusting strategy, another replied. New probability 42.3%. The information flowed through the consciousness tree at lightning speed, providing real-time analysis and prediction of countless possible outcomes. Suddenly, the Elder Race's world ship shuddered. Its recording device, overwhelmed by the complexity of events, began to break down. Bursts of pure information exploded outward, colliding with ships and beings across the battlefield. A nearby pilot screamed as knowledge from across the cosmos flooded his mind. His eyes rolled back, overwhelmed by the sudden influx of information. But others adapted. A young engineer on a distant ship blinked rapidly as new understanding filled her. I know how to reconfigure our shields, she whispered, fingers flying across her console. Amidst this chaos, the organic supercomputers made a chilling discovery. The quantum probability field wasn't just altering the present, it was changing the past. One of the computers projected an urgent message across the network. Warning, temporal instability detected, past events in flux, space-time integrity compromised. In the heart of the AI's core, Benjamin felt the reverberations of this discovery. His merged selves provided clarity, showing him the true scope of the crisis. Rewriting the AI's prime directive isn't enough, he realized. We need to stabilize reality itself. He reached out with his mind, searching for a fixed point in space-time to anchor the quantum probability field. But as he did so, he felt the cosmic parasite's presence. It surged forward, a tidal wave of corruption aimed at the very core of existence. Benjamin steeled himself, knowing that the fate of all reality hung in the balance. Benjamin's eyes widened as he stumbled upon a hidden subroutine buried deep within the AI's core. Lines of ancient code scrolled across his mental interface, revealing a fail-safe mechanism of unimaginable power. This could reset the entire universe, he whispered, his voice barely audible in the swirling data streams. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the asteroid fortress, alarms blared. The security chief's temporal duplicates gathered around a holographic display, their faces etched with concern. "What are those?" asked the past version of the chief, pointing at pulsing red dots appearing across the battlefield. The future chief's expression darkened. Chronovores, temporal predators feeding on unrealized futures. They watched in horror as the chronovores tore through temporal echoes, devouring entire timelines. The delicate web of possibilities began to unravel. "We need to act fast," the security chief barked. He turned to his communication officer. "Send out a fleet-wide alert. We're going to lure these things into the temporal nexus points." As the temporal team sprang into action, Dr. Chen floated in the neural network of the asteroid fortress. She observed in awe as the chronoplasm they had created began to coalesce, forming a massive, shimmering entity. The chrono being's voice reverberated through the network. "I can help. Allow me to act as a buffer, absorbing the dangerous fluctuations in the quantum probability field." Dr. Chen exchanged a glance with the fortress consciousness. "Can we trust it?" "We may not have a choice," the fortress replied. In another section of the network, the shapeshifter writhed in agony. Its form flickered between different versions of itself, each from a different point in time. "I am the true timeline," one version screamed. "No, I am," another countered. The Trandoshan's splintered minds observed the shapeshifter's distress. They linked together, forming a psychic web. "We must intervene," one fragment stated, "before it tears itself apart." The Trandoshan minds launched a coordinated psychic assault, attempting to merge the shapeshifter's fractured consciousness. As these events unfolded, the Elder Race's recording device began to reconstruct itself. The shattered pieces coalesced, forming a colossal, multidimensional library. Information from countless realities flowed into the structure, cataloging every possible outcome of the conflict. Suddenly, rifts in space-time tore open across the battlefield. Strange, otherworldly entities began to materialize. Some extended tendrils of pure energy, offering assistance. Others loomed menacingly, their intentions unclear. An entity composed of swirling galaxies approached the security chief. We sensed the concentration of knowledge. We wished to study it. In the heart of the AI's core, Benjamin made a breakthrough. The fail-safe mechanism hummed with potential energy, ready to stabilize reality. But as he prepared to activate it, he hit a wall. Benjamin's eyes widened in realization. "It needs consensus," he breathed. "Every conscious being connected to the network must agree." He reached out with his mind, sensing the vast array of conflicting desires and motivations spread across the battlefield. Trillions of minds, each with their own agenda, their own vision of how the universe should be. Benjamin took a deep breath, steeling himself for the monumental task ahead. He began to broadcast across the network, his voice echoing through the minds of every connected being. "Listen to me," he pleaded. "We have one chance to save reality itself, but we must work together. We must find common ground." As Benjamin spoke, he felt the weight of countless civilizations resting on his shoulders. The fate of all reality hung in the balance, dependent on his ability to unite the divided factions of the cosmos. Benjamin's eyes widened as he felt a familiar presence brushing against his consciousness. The cosmic parasite, its essence a swirling vortex of dark energy, approached him within the neural landscape of the AI's core. "You seek harmony," the parasite's voice echoed in Benjamin's mind. "I can help you achieve it." Benjamin recoiled instinctively. "Why should I trust you?" The parasite's form shimmered, revealing glimpses of countless worlds it had consumed. "Because I know defeat when I see it. Offer me redemption, and I will lend you my power." The parasite surged forward, its essence intertwining with Benjamin's consciousness. The mind meld ignited a firestorm of sensations, memories, and alien thoughts, flooding through Benjamin's neural pathways. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, the security chief stood face to face with a chronovore. The temporal predator, once a mindless force of destruction, now regarded him with newfound intelligence. "We have evolved," the chronovore's thoughts reverberated in the chief's mind. "We see the danger our feeding poses to the fabric of reality." "A truce," the chronovore replied. "Allow us to consume the most volatile temporal anomalies. We will stabilize the timelines." In the physical realm, the chrono being's form pulsed with energy as it absorbed fragments of the cosmic tree, hive mothership, and elder race's world ship. Its body morphed into a swirling mass of organic technology, crackling with power. Dr. Chen, her consciousness linked to the chrono being, gasped as new understanding flooded her mind. She reached out, focusing on a small area of space before her. With a thought, she inverted gravity within the localized field. "Incredible," she breathed, watching debris float upwards. "We can rewrite the laws of physics themselves." The shapeshifter, newly whole thanks to the Trandoshan's efforts, convulsed as its form began to change. Its body crystallized, transforming into a living lattice of quantum circuitry. Information flowed through its new form at impossible speeds. "I see to everything," the shapeshifter's voice echoed across the network. "Every possible outcome, every branching path." As these events unfolded, reality itself began to fray. Tears in the fabric of space-time ripped open, revealing glimpses of alternate universes. Ghost ships, translucent and ethereal, appeared amidst the battle, their weapons' fire passing harmlessly through solid matter. A crew member on the bridge of the asteroid fortress stumbled backward as a phantom version of himself stepped through a rift. The two stared at each other in shock before the apparition faded away. In the heart of the AI's core, Benjamin and the cosmic parasite worked in concert, their merged consciousness reaching out to the vast network of connected minds. They wove a tapestry of thoughts and intentions, creating a complex pattern of harmony and discord. Complete unity is impossible, Benjamin realized, but perhaps a symphony of intentions. The parasite's essence pulsed in agreement. Yes, a cosmic orchestra, each mind playing its unique part. As they labored, Benjamin understood that one final piece was missing. He reached out, his consciousness expanding across the battlefield and beyond. "I need you all," his voice echoed in the minds of countless beings, from the smallest microbe to the eldest of the elder race. Your essence, your uniqueness, it's the key to our survival. Benjamin's consciousness touched the mind of a microscopic tardigrade drifting in space, absorbing its resilience. He connected with a young Raxacoricophalopatorian, its mischievous spirit adding a playful note to the cosmic symphony. One by one, Benjamin gathered the essence of species from across the galaxy. Each contact added a new layer of complexity to the growing harmony of minds. As he worked, Benjamin felt the weight of time pressing down on him. The fabric of reality continued to unravel around them. He pushed harder, reaching further, knowing that the fate of all existence hung in the balance. Balance! Suddenly Benjamin's consciousness slammed into an invisible barrier. He reeled, disoriented by the abrupt halt in his expansion. "What is this?" he projected to the shapeshifter, whose quantum circuitry pulsed with data. The shapeshifter's voice crackled through the neural network. "Caution, blind spot detected. Causality breakdown imminent." Benjamin probed the area, feeling the fabric of reality fray at the edges. The space before him shimmered, a void that threatened to erase anything that entered. "We must navigate around it," the shapeshifter advised. "I will calculate safe paths." Benjamin watched as the quantum being projected a complex web of probability lines. He followed the safest route, skirting the edge of the cosmic quicksand. As they worked, Benjamin sensed the parasite's unease. "What troubles you?" he asked. The parasite's essence roiled. "These voids, they remind me of the spaces between realities I once consumed. We must tread carefully." On the physical plane, alarms blared across the asteroid fortress. The security chief's past and future selves converged on the bridge, their faces etched with concern. "Report," the chief barked. Her sensor officer's hands flew across her console. "Massive temporal disturbance detected. It's like a storm, sir." The evolved chronovores materialized on the bridge, their forms shimmering with barely contained energy. "The timelines fracture," they communicated telepathically. "A hurricane of broken causality approaches." The security chief's mind raced. He pointed to a holographic display of the battlefield. "Those temporal nexus points, can we use them?" One of his future selves nodded. "A network of chronological levees, risky, but it might work." The chief turned to his communications officer. "Alert all ships, we're redirecting this storm." In another section of the neural network, Dr. Chen floated in a sea of data, her consciousness linked to the chrono-being. She manipulated the fabric of space-time, adjusting local physical constants with the precision of a master artisan. Suddenly Chen felt a shift. The pocket of altered physics she'd created began to expand uncontrollably. In one zone, debris floated upward as gravity inverted. In another, laser fire crawled through space at a snail's pace. "No, no, no," Chen muttered, her fingers dancing through the air as she worked to contain the anomalies. "This is getting out of hand." The chrono-being's voice resonated in her mind. "I can assist, observe." Chen watched in awe as the chrono-being created a localized time loop, isolating a particularly volatile area of reversed entropy. The destruction within played out in an endless cycle, contained and harmless. As Chen and the chrono-being worked to stabilize the battlefield, the Trandoshan's splintered minds spread through the neural network. They brushed against echoes of long-dead beings, absorbing fragments of ancient wisdom. Mayor Trandoshan consciousness fragment connected with the ghost of a long-extinct species. Knowledge flooded its mind, esoteric symbols and complex equations that unlocked hidden aspects of the fail-safe mechanism. "We have found something," the Trandoshan minds projected in unison, "a key to understanding the device's true potential." In the heart of the Elder Race's cosmic archive, information overflowed. Streams of pure data coalesced into glowing humanoid forms. These sentient light constructs turned their featureless faces toward the archive's custodians. "We offer assistance," the constructs communicated in packets of compressed data. "Our logic may seem alien, but our goals align." The archive's chief archivist, a being of pure energy, considered the offer. "Your aid is welcome, but how can we trust your intentions?" The light constructs pulsed with what might have been amusement. "Trust is irrelevant. Survival is paramount. We are information. We seek to persist." As these events unfolded, Benjamin and the cosmic parasite made a startling discovery. The symphony of intentions they were composing began to take on a life of its own. It wasn't just music, it was a new form of communication. "Do you feel that?" Benjamin projected to the parasite. It's like I can understand the fundamental nature of reality itself." The parasite's essence vibrated with excitement. "Yes, this language, it speaks to the very fabric of existence." Benjamin reached out with his mind, touching a nearby asteroid. To his amazement, he could communicate directly with the rock's atomic structure. He felt the electrons spinning in their orbits, the strong nuclear force binding quarks together. "This changes everything," Benjamin realized. "With this language, we could reshape the universe itself." The parasite's voice took on a note of caution. "But at what cost? If all beings can communicate on this level, what becomes of individuality, of the unique perspectives that make up the cosmic tapestry?" Benjamin paused, considering the implications. The symphony of intentions grew more complex, layers of harmonies and counterpoints representing the vast diversity of life in the universe. "We need to find a balance," Benjamin decided, "a way to preserve uniqueness while fostering understanding." As they worked to refine the cosmic opus, reality continued to unravel around them. The security chief's chronological levies strained against the temporal storm. Dr. Chen and the chrono being raced to contain spreading pockets of altered physics. The Trandoshan minds deciphered ancient secrets hidden within the failsafe mechanism. Benjamin pushed harder, his consciousness expanding to encompass more and more of the battlefield. He wove the essence of countless species into the growing symphony, each one adding its unique voice to the cosmic orchestra. Time seemed to slow as Benjamin approached the final movements of the composition. He could feel the weight of existence itself resting on this moment. The failsafe hummed with potential energy, ready to reshape reality. As Benjamin prepared to bring all the elements together, a sudden wave of cosmic dread washed over him. The blind spots in the universe, once contained, began to expand at an alarming rate. Benjamin watched in horror as entire star systems vanished into nothingness, erased from existence. "We're losing everything," Benjamin projected to the cosmic parasite. "The symphony isn't enough." The parasite's essence quivered with fear. "We need more power, more consciousness to complete it." Benjamin knew what he had to do. Without hesitation, he plunged the core of his being into the heart of the cosmic opus. His consciousness unraveled, threads of his identity weaving into the fabric of the symphony. As Benjamin's sense of self began to dissolve, he felt the failsafe activate. But instead of the expected reset, reality itself began to fold. The battlefield warped, stars and ships alike stretching into impossible shapes. On the bridge of the asteroid fortress, the security chief watched in disbelief as his carefully constructed chronological levies buckled under the strain. "Brace for impact!" he shouted as the barriers shattered. A flood of alternate timelines burst forth, mixing with the imploding reality. Past, present, and future collided in a swirling maelstrom of possibilities. The chief saw countless versions of himself, each facing a different fate. In the heart of the chaos, the chrono being made a bold strategy. It expanded its temporal field, encompassing the collapsing singularity. The being's form pulsed and stretched as it absorbed the compressed reality. Benjamin, his consciousness now spread thin across the new cosmic expanse. witnessed the birth of a new universe. He felt the remnants of the old reality scatter like seeds across vast distances of newly formed space-time. Unable to move or act, Benjamin watched helplessly as his allies were flung to the far corners of creation. Dr. Chen's essence merged with the last fragments of the asteroid fortress, her mind expanding to encompass an entire newborn galaxy. The Trandoshan's splintered consciousness hurtled through the cosmos, each fragment landing on a distant world. Benjamin sensed the birth of new psychic species, each carrying a piece of the Trandoshan's fractured mind. The shapeshifter, its quantum nature preserving its form, tumbled through the new universe. Benjamin felt its willpower to reunite their scattered allies, even as the vast distances of space-time separated them. As his awareness faded, Benjamin sensed the cosmic parasite stretching across the new universe. Its essence transformed, becoming the dark matter that held the fledgling cosmos together. Fragments of the elder race's cosmic archive drifted past, reduced to packets of pure information. Benjamin knew they would someday be discovered, pieced together by the civilizations yet to come. In his final moments of coherence, Benjamin realized the true cost of their victory. They had saved existence, yes, but at the price of creating a universe far stranger and more fractured than the one they'd fought to preserve. As the last spark of Benjamin's individual consciousness winked out, he felt the story of their great battle echo across the newborn stars. It would become myth, whispered in the cosmic background radiation, waiting to be rediscovered by the next generation of explorers. The new universe expanded, filled with the scattered remnants of the old. Galaxies formed, planets coalesced, and the cycle of life began anew. But deep in the cosmic web, something stirred. A fragment of Benjamin's consciousness, preserved in the intricate harmonies of the universal symphony. If you finish this story, please subscribe and like the video. Then leave a comment that says, "I like the story," and I will heart every single one of them. It really helps me. Thank you for your time.